we are very fat Americans, and I talk more trash about fat Americans, but there are probably a lot of fat Americans in our audience, and I don't want to
They're bigger than you.
more people off than I already have. So.
I think
but do you understand that
I don't think it's ironic. But that would make more sense for why we want to limit it. It's like if we had a bunch of people who were suffering from some other
no, but it's like a made-up
illness.
issue. I don't think this is a real issue.
You don't think it's a real issue?
I think Americans
that overweight people cost more in taxpayer money for the health insurance.
They do, but I think I don't think this is what's burdening our healthcare system. It's fat Americans who are burdening our healthcare systems, unfortunately. And I'll say that as somebody who's a little bit overweight myself. I could afford to lose a few pounds, but this, stopping more. Yeah, I don't disagree with with
like
these
the
laws
policy.
on principle.
You just wanted to take a moment to call your fellow Americans
it's still
fat.
ironic because
you wanted to take a moment to call your
we
fellow
have these
Americans
poor health
fat.
outcomes, and this is a part of the bigger picture too. Because the issue with having a single payer healthcare system or having Obamacare or what have you is that our costs are so high.
Yes.
Why are our costs so high? It's because Americans are so unhealthy.
That's
generally
true.
Why are Americans so unhealthy? Because we're so fat. We're really fat. So I feel like we're pointing the finger at some other countries. It's like, yeah, you can't get in here, but it's like we're a fat dude.
Well,
Do you think we're fat shaming, or that this is just reasonable public policy? I want to hear the guest because he hasn't had much to.
The only reason that our healthcare costs are so high is not just because we are unhealthy, but it's also because we have so many immigrants in our country that are going to the emergency rooms and using our healthcare system, whether they're actually collecting Medicare or not.
Exactly.
They're in the emergency rooms. They're getting care before we are, and in reality, a person who's coming in who's significantly obese, they're going to come in and use that healthcare significantly more than.
I don't disagree with you. I think two things can be true at once, though. Illegal immigration burdens our healthcare system. Americans being generally unhealthy, morbidly obese, very overweight.
100%.
We're known for being
listen,
very
man.
fat,
If you're a little
is
bit,
what leads to more unhealthy outcomes, which leads us to have the worst health outcomes despite spending the most per capita. And look. We love to eat here. Everything's bigger in Texas. We love our Texas barbecue and whatnot. We love our fast food, and there's consequences for that. But it feels like we're pointing the finger at fat foreigners when we're fatter in many ways ourselves.
We
can do whatever we want.
Because I can have a preference for my own people. If someone has a couple extra Patriot pounds on their body, they're a little bit overweight, but
look,
they got
potatoes
that good
are
American
dense
spirit, they are my ally. I am more
Potatoes are very
willing-
calorie dense, and if you eat too many, and you fry them, and one thing could lead to another, and
all I'm saying is a couple extra Patriot pounds, even though you're right, it might burden our healthcare system.
Patriot
those are
pounds.
Americans.
Yeah.
Those are
All right,
Americans.
so no, we shouldn't accept fatties. I don't disagree.
All
We
right.
shouldn't accept fatties, but we also need to deal with the domestic fatties.
So you love RFK's policies about getting rid of some of these unhealthy additives?
I don't know if that's what's making us so fat. I
A
think
lot.
stuffing our faces and being
Trump's
lazy is
passing
what's
out
making us
Ozempic
fat.
now, so it's gonna be fine.
You bring them in, give them Ozempic.
Yeah.
I think there will be medical consequences to Ozempic, but if
it's a
those
reptile
aren't
blood
outweighed
disease.
by the issues of obesity, I think it's a trade-off. Like, what's worse, the side effects of Ozempic, or you being 200 pounds overweight?
No,
we
I'm
have the scientific
anti-Ozempic.
evidence of the being 200 pounds overweight is extremely detrimental to your health. So that's the pros and cons that people have to weigh when taking these drugs. I will say Trump RX did just try to reduce the costs of all of these drugs, all of these GLP-1 inhibitors, so-called drugs.
I'm against
originally
that.
for diabetes.
I'm against Ozempic, but that's another story.
Okay, nice.
Well, I was just saying, if these people manage to get so overweight before coming to the United States, I can't imagine what's going to happen when
Also, I was going to say,
they
like,
get here and start eating Popeyes.
maybe the wall has to have an entrance that's a little bit thin, so you really have to squeeze through it.
Wait, why? We're
harder for people not to be able
ACA
to get
compliant everywhere across the United States. You could be gigantic. You could require 3 doors, and it feels like we will really accommodate anything, no matter how fat you are.
For our fellow Americans.
For our fellow Americans, but no, if
yes.
you're a
I'm
foreigner-
allowed to prefer
I don't
that.
disagree with that,
I'm allowed
but
to
it's
prefer my fellow
I've been
American.
trying to start a
as-
petition.
I'm fatphobic
Patriot.
across the board. It doesn't matter if you are a foreigner.
I've been trying to start a petition for the border to be an American Ninja Warrior course, so they can actually do some work, lose those pounds before they get here, and really.
I want a
add to the
moat.
country.
I don't want them to get over.
Well, moat's fine too. A moat plus that.
What do you think the Rio Grande is?
It's not enough, clearly.
Not enough. Great answer.
You want an ocean then is what you want.
Yeah, well, there is one more thing I want to mention about this as far as the healthcare system goes. Elad, where I do agree with you and where you are correct is that we have a very unique health situation in the United States. People are very unhealthy because of what we're eating, because of what's in our food. And oftentimes people will say, how is it that the United States has such expensive healthcare even though it's a private market? Well, guess why? Like, it's
The
not like
ACA.
if you have the ACA is a big part of it actually, but if you have a country where people have these chronic health issues because our food is very, very bad, then of course healthcare costs are just going to be much higher.
You blame the food?
I think the food's a big part of it, and I'm not just blaming the food. I do think overconsumption's a real issue as well. I'm not saying it's completely out of people's hands and it's nobody's fault when they gain weight or become overweight. Not making that argument. But what I am saying is we do have an obesity crisis that is going to make healthcare more expensive. And I'm so sick and tired of people pointing to some small country with like a couple million people and they're all in great shape and saying their healthcare is really cheap. It must be because they have a public-private system that mandates purchasing within the insurance marketplace, or they have a single payer system, whatever. I'm like, I don't think that's why.
I sound jealous.
Yeah, I'm super jealous. Also, one more thing I'll point out before we move on. Almost no one in the world has single payer. There are many universal healthcare systems. Almost nobody has single payer. So let's say we need to go to single payer so we can solve this crisis and we can get people insured. Countries with universal healthcare systems almost always have some form of a private market that the state mandates you to purchase from, or that they'll redistribute tax money for you to purchase from. That's not the same as single payer.
One last tidbit on this. I think there's a balance between there are a lot of things that are making people obese in our country nowadays. I think people are blaming it too much on the food. You can count your calories. I think people need to take more personal responsibility when it comes to their weight. It's not just, you could find and eat the correct foods and not be fat. You could count your calories to not be fat. And you could exercise. You could do 10,000 steps a day and choose a correct diet and not be fat. We're not forced into this. There isn't crazy food out there that's forcing you to be fat. We're not force feeding you.
Hold on. You're correct, but I do want to point out, if you have an improper diet, if you have a bad diet, you are not going to be able to do enough cardio, enough exercise to defeat that diet. You cannot cardio away 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day.
Yeah, I just think people have endless excuses for being fat. Every time I talk to a fat person, there's a new BS excuse. It's like, oh, it's in the food. Oh, I don't have enough time to cook my own meals. Oh, I don't know how it happens. Oh, I have a slow metabolism.
You know what?
It's like, oh, you won't choose to make better decisions for your life.
You are taking every opportunity to jump back into another fat-phobic rant, Elad.
What if we're just big boned, Elad?
Fat phobia is the right attitude to have. Fat phobia is the correct attitude to have.
This is Maha.
All right.
It's like the proper Maha.
Well, I think at the end of the day...
Now it is, but it shouldn't be.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.